Jesus began to present himself that he is the bread of life. Jesus is trying to tell them that what sustains man is not outside food. We have to understand that food denotes, that bread denotes the word of God. You can't be more spiritual than the amount of the word of God in you. So that even your prayer life, buddy, if you are not praying well, you can even speak in tongues from now till tomorrow. If it is outside the world, you discover that you won't have more results because you pray out of understanding. I'm saying that you cannot see a man that knows the word of God and still pray amiss. Now, there is this deception that goes on now. When anything began to make it look as if what you need is only understanding and the word, you are being deceived. Because there's no man that knows the word that doesn't pray. So that the more understanding you have in the word, the more you pray. It's not the less you pray. It is deceptive. It is deceptive. For you to believe that when you understand more, you will pray less is a lie. A man that understands pray more. Are we together? So that what the devil will present to a man is the food in order to disconnect you from God. Is to introduce false doctrine. We now discover that in order for us to eat this bread, there are entrances, and the only entrance of the bread of life is not through your mouth. There are things that you hear that becomes the food to your spirit. And that food to your spirit now will now depend on how your spiritual life will look like. So we have a congregation of now brethren now that doesn't eat well. And let me tell you something, you don't have anything, like you don't have any business to do with an assembly or with a church that doesn't give you the right food. Our focus should be that we should eat and eat well. And what I'm talking about this food is that the doctrine of the word of God that flows in man, that flow through the altar or through your pastor that you listen to. So many people can even gather, we can gather in large numbers. That one may not profit heaven. It has little to do with how large you eat. It has something to do with the quality of the food you eat, such that they are food that contains all nutrients. Like for example now, you can't say because you are going to the church that focus more on faith, on the word of faith, and say that you don't need the words of holiness. Are we together? The bread that we should eat as a Christian is the one that comprises of all the nutrients involved. So that you don't say, okay, now I only need mineral. You will die of the lack of power because you also need something like carbohydrate foods. So that you don't say, okay, all I need is energy. So you pray. You are only eating things that gives you energy. You will discover that you will die of calcium. It's not maybe you don't eat, but you don't eat well. So we need all the nutrients combined in order to have stability in the spirit. Such that when you are focusing on the word of faith, you should not also leave holiness aside. You should not also leave maybe the righteousness, the words of righteousness aside, or maybe prosperity aside. We also need all these things combined in order for us to look like what God has called us to become. Now, this is what we are saying is that the word of faith, the bread of life that God wants to give to us is not something that is minus of any nutrients. All these things combined is what we need to become what God has called us to become. So here we are now tonight as the matter of food, as the matter of the word concerned, that you need the word in order to be stable.